sometimes when we sit at the desk for long, we get some tension here. I'm not sure if you have that, but there's some people who get a lot of tension when working in the office or just sitting in front of, or just being upright. I don't know why this happens. So we're going to do a little bit with the shoulders today in sitting. How convenient. Thinking of shoulder exercises, like everybody knows, shoulder circles and head wiggling and doing all sorts of stuff, and we will use similar motions, similar movements, but structure it a bit better. So please come to sit somewhere where you can sit fairly upright. And we'll start with one shoulder. I choose my right shoulder to start with. And how do we make this a somatic experience? So think of your shoulder, bring your attention to your shoulder. You can touch your shoulder to feel your shoulder. And then think of your ear, your right ear or your left ear when you do your left shoulder. And imagine like there's a line in between your shoulder and your ear, like a measurement band or a string. You know, this kind of AR applications we have nowadays where we have like invisible stuff that doesn't exist but we can still see it. Imagine something like this here. So imagine that, feel your shoulder, and then slowly start to lift your right shoulder, and imagine this distance between your ear and your shoulder becoming smaller. So be aware of this distance. So when you raise your shoulder, try to imagine how this distance or the measuring tape or the string becomes shorter, and when you lower your shoulder, does it become longer again or just back to original length? So we're using speed, we're slowing it down, and we're using thought, imagination to coordinate this movement of lifting the shoulder and letting it drop back to its original position. So that's kind of neutral. You can put your hand on your leg or let your hand hang. I don't know. No rule for that. And just do this a couple of times, slowly. And of course your clavicle is lifting, shoulder is lifting. There's this part where your clavicle is attached to your sternum. So that's the only joint here. And the rest is kind of free floating or just sitting on top, actually hanging down from the neck, anatomically speaking. Maybe try the other directions, like lowering. Can you lower? I think it's hard to lower. Press down. Like raising the shoulder and letting it drop down. Down. So this is not a tutorial. This is a somatic experience. So try to go deep. Try to engage. Try to be part of this. Try to clear your mind. Last lesson I've briefly spoken about thinking and thought, and in this kind of work try not to think of anything else. Just immerse yourself in your experience of yourself and your shoulder movement in this case. And try to control your thoughts in a way so that you don't think of anything outside of the room. You have to be really strict on that. So you just think about stuff that's happening right now in your experience. So that's up and down, and then we have forwards and backwards. So we have 4 directions. So make sure you have this in your imagination. Up and down and forwards and backwards. What happens to this string, to this measure tape? Do we still use it? And once we have 4 directions, we can combine them to a circle. So it's up, forwards, downwards, backwards. and observe the connection. What does this, like, it's not isolated. This shoulder doesn't belong to someone else. This is my shoulder and your shoulder is your shoulder. So once you start moving your shoulder, it kind of affects your whole body. Is this enough material to work with? Oh, let's use the head. No, the head in relation to the shoulder. So what can we do? The head. So we have this string. Try to touch your ear to your shoulder. Does this work? There's days where my ear doesn't touch my shoulder. It seems like it's stiffened up so much, all this computer work, that it doesn't really touch, and I have to find different positions to make it happen, and sometimes it doesn't happen. So just keep it kind of near, or you could put your other hand in between, you could squeeze something in between. Could you handle me the yellow thing there, please? Yes. Thank you. My camera is so versatile today. You can squeeze something in. Yeah, let's do this. Squeeze a phone in here and then move your shoulder up and lower your shoulder back down, and don't lose the thing. Some people might need a bigger thing, like a big ball or something, or like a t-shirt, something that fills this gap. Up and down. Up and down. Can go up. So the shoulder, interesting. The shoulder can move independently from your head or in relation to your head. And then, of course, we have we could make the distance greater, move the head in the other direction than the shoulder, or move them closer together, or move them together. So that's a couple of things we can do in between. Then another thing, raise your arm, bring your arm up. Try to touch your arm. Can you touch your arm to your head? And do you have a cat? Have you ever seen a cat do this with your leg? Do this cat movement to your arm, like massage your face against your arm. So you bring the head backwards and forwards, and try to massage your face. Or you could, like, if you clean your face with your, sometimes we do this when we're sweating, we clean ourselves, but keep your arm stable and rub your face against your arm. Oh, this feels so nice. I can't stop. It's so nice. It's like giving yourself a face rub and a head rub. Oh, it's really nice. Now I know why cats are doing this. I didn't know. Take a break whenever you want. Then let's think of another variation. Bring your arm up again, touch your face against your arm, and start to keep this relationship between your arm and your head, and start to, like, if you point towards the ceiling, you can make lines on the ceiling forwards and backwards. So of course this engages your whole chest, your whole upper back. You can make lines to the left and to the right. Ooh, this is strenuous. This is actually strenuous in my neck. How is it for you? back and forth. So we have two lines that cross each other. And when you're sitting, don't forget you have a pelvis, don't forget you have legs, another arm. So there's all sorts of movements in your whole body. And when you have two lines, you can also do circles, clockwise circles, counterclockwise circles. Ooh, this is going to be really hard. Oh, so strenuous. I have to take a break. Who would have thought this is a little bit strenuous? But it's interesting for the shoulder. Shoulder becomes already much freer. And easier to touch, much easier to touch. Interesting. So these are a couple of variations in a structured way, a path you can follow. And you can feel this somatic experience. Of course, there's another shoulder, left shoulder. Are we doing the left shoulder? How much time do we have? Yeah, we can do the left shoulder. Let's do a little bit left shoulder. So think of your other shoulder. Think of your other ear and your other shoulder. About the distance between them. Okay. Is the distance between your right ear and your right shoulder the same as your left ear and your left shoulder? And then start to lift your other shoulder. See how that works, if that works at all. So I use the technique of having my arm hanging. So I have the whole arm like hanging casually down and lifting the shoulder like it's lifted almost by somebody else. But of course I need to lift it myself, so some muscles need to do that. And the distance between the ear and my shoulders become shorter. And then downwards. Does it work downwards? It does. So, but if I bring my left shoulder downwards, I also bring my right shoulder upwards. So it's kind of a side bending. Is it? So is this a movement of the chest or a movement of the shoulders? Maybe both. So we have up and down. And then we're looking for forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. And do these lines cross each other, or are these lines like more like an X? So try to feel like this, how you say? Okay, and then try to touch your left shoulder to your left ear, or the other shoulder to the other ear. It doesn't work so well. So I use this thing again. Interesting. I can bend my head easier to the right than to the left. I didn't know. Yes. Okay, then do this up and down a couple of times. But it's not an exercise, so that's the tricky part about it. We need to feel. We need to first plan the movement, think about it, then move, feel, and sense. Make adjustments towards what's easier, what's more comfortable, what's more meaningful, where there's more sense in movement, in up and down. And I can remove this constraint and build it again. Yeah. Okay. Up, down. Let's see. Let's do the arm up thing. Anybody has a question? I have a question. So, touch your head again against your raised arm. Try to raise it really high. Who wants to have $1 million? Me! 10 million, me. Okay, really, the arm up. And then start to rub your head against your arm, like the cat. Forwards and backwards and up and down. Rub, rub, rub. Okay, take a small break. Okay, and then the next thing is raise your arm again, lean your head against the arm and keep this constrained as if they are glued together, and start to make lines like if your finger would be a brush, paintbrush, paintball brush. Make lines on the ceiling, forwards, backwards, and to the left and to the right. So the lines cross each other, and then when they cross each other, circles in one direction and circles in the other direction. And then take a small break. Still doesn't touch entirely, so I will have to do it again a couple of times, but eventually my shoulder and my ear will touch on both sides. Huh, I didn't know they don't touch. Let's do one more variation on a wall in standing. So this relates to the lesson we did in the last video, the shoulder lesson on the floor, but we will use on the wall instead. So I have this very nice cupboard, so it's nice to touch this cupboard. So if you have a wall, just, I don't know, maybe easy to get dirty, but I use this one, easy to clean. Stand your shoulder, your right shoulder, for example, against the wall, against the door, and start to lift your head. No, don't lift your head. I mean, lift the arm. Lift the arm, lift the arm, lift the arm. Lift the arm up, up, up. See where you can go, and stand close to the cupboard. Stand close to the cupboard. And then try also in the behind you in the other direction. Just keep your pelvis touched to the cupboard and see what you can do. See how you can move the arm behind you and in front of you until you can actually make a circle. You can go up and down and in between and in the other way around. Yeah, and enjoy the movement. So this shouldn't be like work you have to do, but it's really it's me time. Enjoy yourself on the wall. And as a benefit, you will have a much more limber, much more smoother working shoulder. Oh, it's not easy to lift the arm now. So it has a lot of benefits. Let's do the other arm as well. So you bring your pelvis to the cupboard. Maybe start in front. You can touch your head or don't touch your head as you wish. Go in one direction, go backwards. Do the whole round. And if you're a dancer, you can do like a whole movement, a whole dance sequence where you love the wall, where you show your appreciation to the walls and cupboards and to your shoulder. Aye, just so nice. All right. It got a little bit better. But my shoulders feel really light. So I hope you had a good experience. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your support and see you in the next video.